To give you a visual cue, I'm a middle-aged white guy wearing a sort of gray and greenish plaid shirt, and I have no hair because I have alopecia. So anyway, and I'm this morning's worship associate. And now, I invite you to arrive as fully as you can into this moment, into this breathing in, and this breathing out, into this relaxing of shoulders, into this opening of heart space. This is how we begin to heal ourselves, heal our families, and heal our communities. Now let us enter into a time of worship by lighting the flaming chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist Church. This morning I'm inviting Austin Arrowwood, one of our newer members. He will be lighting the chalice as I share these words from June Jordan, an acclaimed poet. June Jordan was part of the Black arts movement of the 1960s and 70s. She was also highly regarded as a political activist and advocate for the poor until her death in 2002. I am a stranger, learning to worship the strangers around me, whoever you are, whoever I may become. And now let's say together the words of our mission, which affirm our shared purpose. Empowered by love, we transform ourselves and serve our world.
I invite you now into a time of meditation. We're going to do our metta, loving kindness meditation this morning. And so just find a comfortable, relaxed position. You can close your eyes if that doesn't cause you to fall asleep, or just lightly hold a soft gaze in front of you. If there are any tight spots in your body, try to relax them. And first, picture yourself. Maybe you can picture looking at yourself in a mirror. Here you are. You have high regard for yourself. You love and respect yourself. You care for yourself. And this is where loving kindness starts. Say to yourself, may I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be peaceful and at ease. Now that you have generated some loving kindness within your heart, now bring to your mind's eye the people closest to you, the people you love the most, the people who are easy to love. Look at them and say to them, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. There is so much loving kindness now swirling inside you. Move on to people that you may not know very well. And that includes people right here in the sanctuary. People you're acquainted with maybe, but don't know very well. Think about them and extend your loving kindness to them by saying, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. And now, bring to mind someone that you don't like very much. Someone who tends to bring out anger maybe, or frustration in you. Maybe even someone you hate right now. Picture them in your mind and say to them, may you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you be peaceful and at ease. May all beings, human and more than human, be well and safe. Good morning, dear congregation. I am the Reverend Jen Youngsun Ryu, and I serve this lovely church as its minister. I use the pronouns she and her. And for people who would find it helpful to have a visual description, today I've got my hair all pulled back in a ponytail, and I'm wearing the green stole that my mother embroidered for me. It's very special to me.
Our reading this morning is by Ross Gay from a piece called Loitering is Delightful. I'm sitting at a cafe in Detroit where in the door window is the sign with the commands, no soliciting, no loitering, stacked like an anvil. I have a fiscal relationship with this establishment, which I developed by buying a coffee and which makes me a patron. And so even though I subtly dozed in the late afternoon sun, pouring in under the awning, the $2 spent protects me, at least temporarily, from the designation of loiterer. Though the dozing, if done long enough or ostentatiously enough or with enough delight, might transgress me over. For instance, the darker your skin, the more likely you are to be loitering. Though a Patagonia jacket could do some work to disrupt that perception. A Patagonia jacket, colorful pants, tree-torn sneakers with short socks, an Ivy League ball cap, and a thick book that is not the Bible, and you're almost golden, almost.
At the end of June, the Supreme Court decided the matter of Grants Pass versus Johnson. Now, the lower court rulings had deemed it cruel and unusual under the Eighth Amendment to punish people for sleeping outside if they had nowhere else to go. But the majority of this Supreme Court did not support that lower court's decision and instead ruled that cities can ban people from sleeping in public places. In effect, making it a crime to be poor, addicted, or sick. So many things have happened over the course of the last several years that have led me to feel like there is a hardening, a contraction of the heart that is affecting the well-being of our country. I hear it when people talk about migrants at the southern border, or a person's bodily autonomy, or debt relief, or poverty, or homelessness. This contraction is affecting people regardless of political party or religious identity, and it is bad for both the individual soul and the collective soul. The other day, I was having my regular Zoom happy hour with an old friend of mine. The conversation was going on as usual when it inevitably turned to politics and the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. I was surprised, really surprised, to hear my good friend, this otherwise very gentle person, say, "Darn it, I wish the shooter had better aim." And then she laughed. "I don't think that's funny," I told her. "I think that would have been terrible." Whatever feelings you may have about another Trump presidency and how vitally important it is to push against injustice and fascism and tyranny, it is possible to do that pushing without hardening our hearts, without losing our humanity, and without betraying our souls. Yes, this political climate feels incredibly frustrating and infuriating and frightening. And there is a way to feel all of those feelings and do everything that you can to fight the good fight and not lose your humanity. A few weeks ago, one of you mentioned an aha moment that you had when you realized how really diverse this community is. When you travel outside of your normal circles and diversify your life, you may be surprised at what you find. Some of you have always had access to stable housing. And some of you have slept in your cars. Some of you have been sleeping on sofas and other people's floors for many, many years. And some of you have spent the night in doorways. Many of us have family members who would have no place to live and no place to sleep if not for our care of them. And some of us are afraid that maybe one day we could find ourselves without money, without shelter, and no one to care about us. And so when we talk about homelessness, we are not talking about them out there. We are talking about us in here. Listening to public conversations on the issue of homelessness, I hear a lot of frustration that turns into bitterness that borders on hatred. These days, Howard Thurman's 1949 book, Jesus and the Disinherited, has been my companion because it feels to me like hearts are contracting and hardening, and I need words of hope. There are few things more devastating, Thurman writes, than to have it burned into you that you do not count, and that no provisions are made for the literal protection of your person. Few things are more devastating than to have it burned into you that you do not count, and that no provisions are made for your protection. You don't have to look too hard to see that cities across the nation send this message in both subtle and very not so subtle ways. Businesses have posted signs, and they use hostile architecture to prevent people from resting their bodies. From those handrails on the benches that are put there so that you can't stretch out, to spikes on every surface that a body could possibly sit on. And then politicians have passed laws that regard every unsheltered person as a potential criminal. Neighborhoods have nurtured hostile hearts. Not on my street. Move them somewhere else. Get them out of my sight. Why do they have to live here? The city of Eugene, as most of you know, has the highest population per capita in the country of unhoused people. That's 432 out of every 100,000 people that live in this area. The latest point-in-time count showed a 9% increase over last year. Because so many of our neighbors are unhoused, it is impossible to live here without having some kind of thought, feeling, opinion about this situation. Now, I like to think that all of your thoughts lean toward compassion and empathy. And I know better. A lot of us grew up in this country, which means that we took in a good portion of the Protestant work ethic, a perspective that impacts our beliefs and the way we see the world. As an immigrant, I think that the work ethic is pumped up even higher in us. I saw that in my dad. He never sat still. God forbid they would catch him resting, not working for his keep. In our current culture, self-determination, rugged individualism, and hard work are markers for worthiness. We live in a production-based system, so if you're not part of the making and spending machine, then what good are you? You're lazy, you're a bum, no count, good for nothing. Hey, I work all day long, and there they are, doing drugs, throwing trash on my front lawn, stealing my bike, leaving dangerous needles for the kids to find. This is my property, my land, my tax dollars, and these people are nothing but a bunch of criminals. Resentment and anger builds, and the heart begins to close. The result of this kind of hardening of the heart is what is happening in Grants Pass and in cities all over the country. Over and over again, the message is clear. If you are not able to secure stable housing for whatever reason, you don't count, and no one has to make any effort to protect you. Writing the dissenting opinion, Justice Sonia Sotomayor warned that criminalization as a response to homelessness will lead to a destabilizing cascade of harm. Even before this latest decision from the Supreme Court, this country had been criminalizing poverty, mental illness, addiction ever since its beginning, with Black and brown people being receiving a disproportionate burden of punishment. Currently, 78% of surveyed mayors in the United States say that the police shape their homeless policies. So this isn't surprising given our long history of incarcerating the unhoused, as well as releasing people from prison into a society that is hostile to ex-offenders, thus making it more likely that they will be unhoused. Now, after the court's decision, more local officials are free to press punitive rather than humane policies, reinforcing the cycle of homelessness to incarceration to homelessness and on and on. Look, I know there's no way to deny the negative impact that comes with a large unhoused population, the crime, the chaos, the disorder. But if the whole world tells me over and over again that I don't count and no one is interested in protecting me, and I have lost my family and my home and everything that I have owned, I'm not sure how I would respond. There is a way. There are ways to address these very, very challenging issues without hardening our hearts. You know, the staff and I are here in this building every day, and so we have to hold really clear boundaries with people who sleep on our church property or come looking to park their vans or campers in our parking lot. We do our very best to hold our hearts open. We say, sure, you can sleep here, we'll get you some coffee. If there are 2 or more staff in the building, we'll let you come and use the bathroom, but you gotta leave before the nursery school students come. And right now, our policy on campers and vans staying overnight in our parking lot is we don't allow it. That's our current policy. We, as a community, can change any of these policies that we want to, right? And so continuing a conversation with each other is going to be really important. What we can say yes to is listening to everyone's story when they come, stories that are complex and sometimes very long. In those moments, I know that my presence and my willingness to listen are the best things that I can offer at that moment. And so I breathe. And I let go of the fact that I'm late for a meeting, and I remember that what I really, really want is I want my heart to be as open as the sky. I imagine that for some of you, this kind of wide open posture can feel scary and unsafe and very, very vulnerable. If I open my heart that wide, people will just take advantage of me. An expansive heart means that I'll permit anything and allow every kind of unacceptable behavior. It means that I'll have to give money to every person holding up a sign on the street corner. Well, no, that's not what it means. You can have firm rules and draw clear boundaries without losing your essential humanity. You can wave or smile or say a quiet blessing to the person holding the sign. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be at ease. The more that we're willing to do this, the more that we're going to be able to see people as humans rather than a problem. From that starting point, then the policies that follow will be more humane and more effective. Homelessness has been well studied and well researched. We know a lot. The evidence shows us exactly what common sense tells us, that when people are housed stably, they commit fewer survival crimes. This is from a study from the Brookings Institute report that was published last week. I put a link to that excellent report in our digital order of service. They outline several suggestions that are all evidence-informed and shown to work. Newcomers to Springfield and Eugene sometimes ask, why are there so many homeless people here? And I say, why not here? Why not here? Human bodies occupy space. And just as Justice Sotomayor writes, sleep is a biological necessity, not a crime. For some people, sleeping outdoors is the only option. I am so thankful that I get to live here. I'm thankful that I get to live among thousands and thousands of people who are working to make sure that sleeping outside isn't the only option. Even though the in-place count of unhoused people is higher this year than last year, actually, more people in Lane County were able to find some kind of shelter at night. This is an increase of 40% over last year. This is a really hopeful sign. I am thankful to live here because the Eugene weekly paper prints obituaries for people who have been unhoused so that we can continue to remember that everyone is someone's child. It takes a very long time for these strategies, like housing first, to really start showing signs of progress. In the meantime, we have to do what we can to help our most vulnerable neighbors. And this means action, reflection, practice. So, action. Volunteer here at church or somewhere else. We've got Produce Plus, the Family Shelter, our Tiny Shelter Project, the upcoming Egan Warming Project, and then reflection. If your heart contracts when you witness homelessness, be curious with yourself. Gee, I wonder why that happens. I wonder what keeps me from expanding my heart. And then practice. Engage in those activities that expand your heart. Tending to the garden, right? Walking in the woods, breathing with the ocean, dancing and singing songs of love and peace. Do whatever you can do to make the container of your heart big enough so that it can hold the rage and the anger, the heartbreak and the frustration, and the empathy and the love. I know you can do it. May all beings sleep in peace tonight. May it be so. Amen. And now let's say our closing words together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And as always, friends, as you go, look around you and notice people that you don't know, haven't met yet, and say hello. Go out into this brand new week, into this brand new wonderful day, and expand your hearts just a little bit more. Go in peace, my friends. Go in love.